Water damage. That's a phrase that can send a shiver down any homeowner's spine. That gut-wrenching moment you find water pooling where it shouldn't be, it can feel like pure chaos. But what if you could actually trade that panic for a plan? Today, we're breaking down the entire journey, from crisis to recovery, so you know exactly what to expect if it ever happens to you. So, picture this. You wake up to that scene. The floor is soaked, maybe some of your stuff is floating, and your first thought is just to clean up the mess, right? But here's the thing. The puddle you see, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real, lasting damage is often totally invisible, silently spreading through your home structure. All right, so to really get a handle on all this, here's the roadmap we're going to follow. First, we'll uncover the hidden threats of water itself. Then, we'll cover the critical first moves you need to make when disaster strikes. From there, we'll pull back the curtain on the professional restoration process, dig into the science of proper drying, and finally tackle the nitty-gritty of costs and insurance. Let's dive in. Okay, let's dive right in with the water itself. While that initial mess is what grabs your attention, the real threats, we're talking about things like structural rot and nasty mold, they start their work silently, deep inside your walls and under your floors. A huge culprit here is just old plumbing. In older homes especially, pipes can corrode from the inside out or just fail without any warning. Think about it for a second. A single burst pipe can unleash hundreds and hundreds of gallons of water before you even have a clue something's wrong. And then, of course, you've got the everyday appliances we all rely on. Washing machines, dishwashers, water heaters. They're all kind of like ticking clocks. A slow leak or even a total failure. That can go completely unnoticed for hours, especially if you're asleep or out for the day, letting water just soak into everything. And get this, the threat isn't always coming from inside the house. A clogged HVAC line can easily overflow into an attic, or poor drainage outside can turn a heavy rain into a flooded crawl space, creating this constant source of moisture that literally rots your home from the ground up. And this right here, this is why speed is everything. The clock is absolutely your enemy. In a humid environment, you've got a window of just 24 to 48 hours before mold can really start to take hold. That tiny window makes an immediate response non-negotiable, turning what could be a simple cleanup into a serious potential health hazard. Okay, so you know the stakes are high. What are your first moves? In those first few totally chaotic moments, the actions you take can dramatically change the outcome of the entire situation. All right, here are 5 absolutely critical moves. 1. If it's safe, find your main water shutoff and turn it off. Stop the bleeding. 2. Get your furniture, electronics, and valuables up off the wet floor and into a dry area. 3. And this is a big one for your safety, stay away from any standing water near electrical outlets or appliances. Seriously. 4. Grab your phone and start taking pictures and videos of everything. Document it all for insurance. And 5. Call for professional help immediately. And this really gets to the heart of that whole DIY versus pro debate, right? Sure, you can use towels and a shop vac, but you can't see what's happening inside your drywall. The pros use thermal cameras to see hidden moisture and moisture meters to know exactly how wet things are. Because leaving that hidden moisture behind, that is a one-way ticket to mold and serious structural rot. So, you call in the pros. What does their process actually look like? Well, it's not just about mopping up. It's a very systematic approach designed to be incredibly thorough and safe, and to take your home all the way from disaster back to normal. Well, it basically breaks down into 3 main stages. It all starts with that emergency response. They show up, assess the situation, and get all of the standing water out. Next comes the really crucial drying phase, and that includes daily monitoring to make sure it's working. And finally, once everything is scientifically proven to be dry, the restoration and repair work can begin. And the tools they bring to the table? They're on a whole other level. We're not talking about a bucket and a mop. We're talking truck-mounted extractors that can pull out huge volumes of water, giant commercial dehumidifiers, and an army of high-velocity air movers. And when you add in the diagnostic gear like thermal cameras and moisture meters, it becomes pretty clear why this isn't a DIY job. All right, let's dig into that drying process a little deeper, because believe it or not, there's a surprising amount of science to it. This isn't about guesswork or just making things feel dry to the touch. It's about applying specific principles to prevent any long-term damage. Okay, let's break down some of the jargon you might hear. Professionals classify water into 3 different categories. And this isn't just for fun. The category of water that's in your home directly tells them what safety gear they need and exactly what the cleanup procedures have to be. So here's how that breaks down. Category 1 is clean water, like from a broken supply line. Category 2 is gray water, which has some contaminants, like from a washing machine overflow. And then there's Category 3, black water, which is the really nasty stuff from sewage backups or floodwaters. That poses a serious health risk. And this quote really nails it. This is where the real expertise comes in. Professionals are trained in something called psychrometrics, which is literally the science of air and water vapor. They understand how materials like drywall and hardwood absorb and release moisture differently. And that certified knowledge is what separates a real, permanent solution from just a temporary fix that's going to cause problems later.
So, you might be wondering, how long does all this take? Well, while every single job is different, a typical drying project lasts about 3 to 7 days, with all that equipment running 24/7. Technicians come back every single day to monitor the progress, because trying to rush this stage, that's a surefire way to end up with a huge mold problem down the line.
All right, let's get to the part everyone wants to know about, the practical side of things. We're talking about the cost, the insurance claim, and those final steps on the road back to feeling normal in your own home again. It probably won't surprise you that no 2 water damage jobs cost the exact same. The final bill really depends on a few key things. Was it clean water or contaminated water? How big of an area was affected? What kind of materials got wet? Drying hardwood is way different than drying carpet. And of course, how much repair work is needed and what your insurance policy covers. Now, here's a bit of good news. Most standard homeowners policies do cover sudden and accidental water damage. The key thing to remember here, though, is documentation. Professional restoration companies are experts at this. They provide detailed photo logs, moisture maps, and daily records that give your insurance adjuster everything they need to approve the claim smoothly, which takes a huge weight off your shoulders. And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? The technical process of drying everything out and rebuilding is one thing, but the real goal is to get back that feeling of safety and comfort. Because a house is truly home again, not just when it's technically dry, but when you can finally walk back in, take a deep breath, and just know the problem was solved completely, from the surface all the way down to the studs